Update. Am I the a-hole for refusing to recover at home after surgery? Original post. I, 29 female, am really disappointed with my husband, 30 male, and furious at his mother, hag-aged female. For context, my husband is from the West Coast, where his mother still lives. He moved to the East Coast for college, and that's where we met, after graduation. In the start of our relationship, she would visit 3 to 4 times a year and make him take PTO so he could entertain her throughout her visit. After 2 years of this, while we were still dating, I asked him how we were ever meant to go on a vacation together, if his PTO was spent at home with his visiting mother. We agreed to save PTO for a trip to Europe we took in 2023, and he agreed to tell his mother he couldn't take off from work every time she visited. In my last job, I was able to work from home 4 days a week, and every time she visited, she sulked all day like a puppy who's had her toys taken away. But once my husband came home, a switch flicked and she was happy and clingy again. So here's the issue now. My husband and I moved states about 6 months ago, closer to my family. I have a new doctor who recommended me for a surgery that my old doc kept putting off. It's not a complicated procedure, and it will greatly increase my quality of life for decades. My mother-in-law decided she's due for a visit and wants to explore our new town, and she'd come to help around the house while OP recovers. I'm going to be out of surgery and in pain, and I really don't want to put up with her energy. However, we agreed, with my husband saying this isn't a sightseeing visit, she's here to help out. Cook, clean, laundry, etc. So I can rest and recover. She can come for a proper visit later in the year. My husband dropped me off at the hospital on Wednesday. It was meant to be surgery, then one night overnight at the hospital for observation. On Thursday, the doctor told me my labs were not where he'd like them to be, and I should stay another night for observation and new lab work in the morning. I called my husband and told him that I'd hopefully be home the next day, over the phone early afternoon. He did not visit on Thursday at all. On Friday, I was discharged and called my husband to tell him that I'd be ready in about an hour. It went straight to voicemail, and I figured he was probably in a meeting and I'd try again in a little bit. After calling a few times over the course of over an hour, I called my sister, who was lucky enough to be excused from work for the afternoon. Many thanks to her understanding boss. She drove 90 minutes to get me and took me home, and the house was in shambles. Laundry baskets on the dining room table, the litter box not cleaned since Wednesday morning, days of dirty plates in a sink, etc. I just broke down crying. She packed me a bag and took me to her apartment to recover for 2 weeks. On Friday night, my husband called me asking me where I was, and that the hospital said I was already discharged. He had been on a hike with his mother, and there was no cell phone service, so he missed my calls, which also meant he took PTO for his mom's visit again. Obviously, I can't ban him from taking PTO, but wouldn't you rather spend that freed up time with your wife at the hospital instead of on a date with your mom? I told him that I no longer feel comfortable recovering in our house, and I won't be returning until it's thoroughly cleaned and his mother is gone. He's calling me the a-hole because his mother just wanted to get to know our new area, and I wasn't able to leave the hospital anyway, and that I was making a big deal out of this. I yelled that he essentially abandoned me at the hospital and entertained someone whose reason of being here was to help make recovery easier, not more stressful, and that she was here for support, not on a vacation. Maybe it's just the pain and pain meds, but am I in the wrong here? Is this a stupid hill to die on? There's a part of me telling me to see a divorce lawyer just to see what my options are, because I'm not sure this will ever change. I know this is going to sound incredibly selfish, but I want kids, but I now don't see myself having any with my husband in the foreseeable future. And if this isn't going to work out, I don't want to spend the next 5 years wasting time and money on therapy and missing a chance to find someone I actually can start a family with. Someone who can be a committed father and husband before he's a son. Many thanks to anyone who's read all of this. Now for the top comments before reading the update a month later. Not the a-hole. Mommy's boy couldn't even be bothered to visit you in the hospital? This is definitely the hill to die on. Cut your losses and leave him to his mommy. Exactly. Didn't visit, and then went out of contact when there had already been a complication. What was his plan if those labs that needed to be watched had turned to needing to contact next of kin? He kept saying it was a simple procedure and there wouldn't be any emergencies. It was a simple but invasive surgery. It's not like I had a mole removed. Your husband dropped you off? Not the a-hole. My mother had 95 surgeries in her lifetime. My dad was at the hospital for all 95 of them. Stay at your sister's house and have her get your stuff. This is the mountain to die on. Now for the update. Hi all, I posted a month ago about my husband basically abandoning me at the hospital to entertain his visiting mother. I thought I'd post an update. We're done. I'm still at my sister's place and my boss is letting me work remotely due to the commute. But I have an apartment I'm moving into in July. That's a 10-minute drive from my job. Thank you to everyone who responded. It was a bit overwhelming. I went into defensive mode and thought I had put my husband in a bad light, but you all really slapped the rose-colored glasses off me. We spoke on the phone every day the first week I was away. He asked his mother to leave ASAP so I would feel comfortable coming back home. After a week, I told him I still needed space and that I was coming the next day to grab more things. Once he saw that I had an empty bag and my sister brought 2 empty pieces of luggage, he realized I was taking a lot because I wasn't planning to come back soon. He asked to talk, and I figured we should get it done and over with. I told him we needed to separate. He tried to argue that his mother only visits a few weeks out of the year and that things are great otherwise. I told him that the issue is he expects me to be okay during those weeks with him ignoring my feelings to cater to hers. I said things don't magically go back to normal once she leaves. There's resentment towards him for weeks for doing it again, and self-hatred for me allowing it to happen again. He asked to go back to couples therapy. I told him it didn't work last time. We had a great therapist who helped him put boundaries in place and be able to deliver consequences when his mother overreached. But as soon as she'd arrive, she'd break one boundary, he'd let it pass, and then she had carte blanche to stomp on them all. And when I tried to reinforce them, I'd get no support and I'd be the bad guy. Here's where I may have been a bit mean. I told him I'm turning 30 this year and I want to start a family. But I can't see starting one with him. If he can't put me first when I'm just out of surgery, why would I think he'd put our children first? I reminded him that his mother is retiring in less than 10 years. What happens when she decides she's frail and lonely? I asked him if he'd move her in whether I was okay with it or not. He replied, I'm all she has. It really hit me then. This was not the life I thought we were building together. It was not the life I wanted or could settle for. He asked if he was really that bad of a husband. I sorta lied and said, no, but you're just not the husband I need. I told him he either needs a wife who's okay with being the side piece in his relationship with his mother or no wife at all. I left with my sister, and 10 minutes into the ride back to her place, his mother called me. I sent it to voicemail. I started laughing, and my sister asked what was so funny. I said the first thing he did was call his mommy and tattle on me for leaving. Papers have been served, and it's been pretty amicable so far. Fingers crossed. Good for you for standing up for yourself. Thank you. It was a long time coming. I pity him a little. She has put her claws into him so deep that he'll never be able to live his own life and form meaningful relationships with people other than her. Good for you to realize what that would mean for your marriage and walking away. I kind of pity him too. I don't think he'll ever have a healthy relationship with any woman in his life. If he ever asks again whether he was really that bad of a husband, please don't sugarcoat it. Be honest, even if it's brutal. You owe it to yourself to stop carrying the emotional weight of his actions. Let him sit with the truth. He won't grow from kindness that shields him from accountability, and you won't heal by bottling up everything he made you endure. Tell him exactly what it felt like to be treated as second place to his mother. Don't protect his ego at the expense of your peace. Free yourself. Let it all out. Next story. My father-in-law called my parents and said to leave my wife and I alone for a while. So my wife and I had a baby about a year ago, so it's been some time, I know. My wife wanted her family over all the time at the beginning, which was fine, but I felt like things were not as fair and balanced as I'd like. Her family was over every single day the first week that the little one was born. My family? They weren't allowed, said my wife. She needed time with her family first and not strangers. Which obviously hurt because strangers? Really? So fast forward, and my parents were bringing us dinners the second week. A couple of times my dad showed up unannounced because he wanted to bring by some things he thought would be helpful. Mind you, this is literally 2 times max when I'd get home after work the previous week and be greeted by my wife and her entire family. With this, my wife told her dad she felt overwhelmed, and her dad called my dad and said they, my family, needed to give us space. After hearing about this, I absolutely lost it on my wife. By that point, the balance between family was non-existent, and anytime I tried to have a say, I was told, "You don't know what it's like, you didn't give birth." Which, of course, while true, that's discounting my say for my newborn, whom I have a right to just as much as she does, and discounting my say for a house that I, no roast, paid for. Now before anyone says, I'd be interested to hear her side, or, yes, you are the a-hole because after marriage, it's teamwork. Let me just cut past that by the fact that it's been a year since I brought this up. The reason I'm bringing it up now is I feel gaslit and blamed a lot in my marriage, and I'm only seeing it now because we literally see her family like 10 times a week, multiple times a day sometimes. We see my family 2 times a month, max. So I'm feeling anger, frustration, and a loss of balance and control that I thought we had. When I brought this to her attention, she said, "I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't need to be 50-50. What, every time we go see my family, we have to see yours too? No, that doesn't work for me." Any pushback I give, she says I'm choosing my family over her. So only now am I seeing this as a real problem. Or am I the a-hole here, and I'm thinking too deeply into these things? Or is this a controlling relationship, and this needs to stop now? Help, please. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I would suggest marriage counseling. She's too enmeshed with her family right now. If things don't change, will you stay in this marriage? In-laws can ruin a good marriage. Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. You're right, but you're missing the point. This isn't an in-laws thing. This is a wife and mother thing. She is setting the tone for this whole issue, and she is deliberately working and downplaying her husband here. Tell her that she can either make an effort for it to be closer to 50-50 now, or you can make it 50-50 custody. Then your child will see your family during your half of the time. If I had my husband's family in my home every day, I would have to get a divorce. Not the a-hole. If your wife won't do anything, then you need to. Tell her parents that you're feeling like you have no privacy with them over all the time, and you'd appreciate it if they limited their visits to once or twice a week. This will make you the bad guy, but your having no say in your own relationship is horse crap, as is your wife's attitude about it. Last story. Am I the a-hole for lying about where I was going to college so my stepsister wouldn't follow me? My mom married her husband Mike when I, 18 female, was 9. Mike had a daughter called Charlotte, who's the same age as me. My mom loved having another girl, and Charlotte never had a mom in her life, so the two of them bonded super fast, and mom was excited to have almost twins, which is what mom used to call us. Charlotte acts younger than she is, always has. She gets attached and wants to be with someone 24/7 and followed me around the whole time like she was a much younger sibling. She'd do the same with mom too. Mom loved it and would encourage it, and she forced me to put up with it. She scolded me regularly when I didn't want to spend time with Charlotte or when I was short with her. Mom told me Charlotte was my sister now, and I should embrace having someone who loved and wanted me around so badly. I tried to explain to my mom that having Charlotte follow me around and be forced on me 24/7 was making me dislike her and not want to give her a chance. But my mom told me that was a child's way of thinking about it, and 9-year-olds are big girls. Then when I tried to talk to mom about it at 12, she told me I was old enough to be mature and loving, and to know the true meaning of family is to love and appreciate those who treat us well, and Charlotte adored me and would do anything for me. I said that wasn't true, because she would not leave me alone. Mom hated that I wanted that. We fought a lot when I was 14 to 16, and then I learned to stop speaking to mom. What sucked most was I could talk to extended family and ask for them to try and talk to mom, but it didn't work. And my dad's gone, so I didn't have another parent to run to. I knew when I was 15 that my mom and Charlotte wanted us to attend college together, and they were planning to have us go to the same school. I tried to get Charlotte to understand that we needed the separation and we shouldn't base our schools on each other, but she was set on following me. My mom didn't support me either, and she made it a big deal that I wanted distance from Charlotte. So when college talk was happening more seriously, I lied about where I was applying to. I made sure all the schools I mentioned to mom and Charlotte were pretty far from where I was actually planning to go. Charlotte accepted where she and mom thought I accepted, but it wasn't. Before graduation, I moved into my paternal aunt's house to avoid the backlash that I knew would come. Now the truth is out there, and Charlotte's decided she's not going to college at all. My mom is furious, and she tried to shame me for the stunt of tearing our family apart. She told me I had a lot of making up to do, and I told her in reply that I don't regret my decision. I said my only regret is that I was forced to lie. Mom said nobody forced me to lie, and I said they did, by giving me no choice but to accept Charlotte following me. I told mom I knew either she or Charlotte would have sabotaged me if I openly applied to a school Charlotte couldn't attend. Mom told me I wasn't thinking of what was best for Charlotte, and as an afterthought, she said for me. I told her the best thing for Charlotte is no concern of mine. Mom said that wasn't kind and I should be kind. Mom asked my maternal aunt, as in her sister, to talk to me. My aunt did, and she told me she understood why I did what I did, but I should apologize and at least regret lying a little, because I interrupted Charlotte's plans with my actions. I told her I did not want to be in the same college as Charlotte, and I didn't want to be in the same state as her. My aunt said it was extreme to feel so strongly about it, instead of keeping my distance at college. She told me I lied so easily, and could have handled it in a far more mature way. She said communication is key. I asked her what good communication was, when my mom willingly ignores my communication attempts. Mom was furious when my aunt told her everything I said. I feel like while lying isn't ideal, or a first choice people should use, I feel like I was left with no other choice. Maybe I'm too close to judge this though, so I'm asking, am I the a-hole? Mom did Charlotte no favors by coddling Charlotte's neediness and codependency. Sadly, OP was right that since mom refused to address the codependency and criticized any attempts at independence, that she had no choice but to lie about where to apply for college. Notably, the mom didn't deny OP saying someone would have sabotaged their college choices had they been open and honest. Aunt is naive that if OP and Charlotte attended college together, that OP could somehow keep her distance, occasional classes together, room together, and how dare OP not eat together and exclude her from activities. Exactly, it would be a never-ending issue. Charlotte would try to make sure we were roommates. She would make sure she followed me around, and that I couldn't do too much without her. It would be suffocating, and I'd have to drop out.